Hi everyone, good evening. So here I am with a professional background, speaking from my computer. So why have I done this? Uh, well, it's nice, it's great to be able to speak from outdoors. There's too much of disturbance and distortion according to the wind and other ambient sounds. So I thought I should try and give you the maximum value in whatever I do. So decided to shift to a more professional approach. Okay, so what am I going to talk about? Before that, if you like this new setup, please comment what you like about it. And if you feel there are some topics which I could cover, please feel free to mention. I'll try to find a story suitable for that and put it up in the next video. So today, what I'm going to talk about is how you can turn your biggest weaknesses into your biggest strengths. And there's a fantastic story associated with this, something which is very close to my heart. Um, I had heard it long ago, but it had kind of gone away into the inside recesses of my mind. Fortunately, I heard it again just yesterday in one of my training programs, so all the memories came flooding back. It has to do with a boy who wanted to learn judo. Uh, so nothing special about it, but this boy um, did not have a left hand. His left hand had been amputated. So, right here below the shoulder. So, he went to many dojos. A dojo is where martial arts classes are taken. And none of the uh, masters, none of the senseis would take him in because they said, you don't have an arm. And in judo, it's all about uh, throws and locks. It involves the use of both your hands. And the masters were not even able to think of how they could teach this boy judo, so they just turned him away. But this boy refused to, accept that that was the final outcome. He kept trying, he kept trying, trying, trying. Finally, uh, he found one sensei uh, who looked at him and said, "Okay, so you want to learn judo?" The boy said, "Yes." You do realize, don't you, that you don't have an arm and that is going to be an impediment? The boy said, "Yes, but I still want to learn." So the master said, "Okay, um, it's going to be hard work, and you have to promise me that you will do exactly as I say. If that is okay with you, I will teach you." So the boy was overjoyed that at least, okay, somebody is willing to take him in as a student. And he said, "Okay, fine, I'll do whatever you say, no questions asked." So he started going to class. It was early in the morning, 6:30. 1 hour to 1.5 hours was the duration, depending on the master's mood. See, typically a martial arts class in those days was not exactly time bound. Uh, it would be anywhere between 1 hour to 4, 5 hours also if the master was in the mood. It depended on the students and their interests. But 1 hour to 1.5 hours was standard. So the boy started practicing. He was initially put through a lot of flexibility and toning exercises with his body and strengthening of his physique and all that, because no matter what they say, there are many people who say martial arts practice does not require physical strength, but that's uh, not a not an accurate a description of martial arts, you do need physical strength to a certain extent. You need to know how to use that strength also. Anyway, so preliminaries were done, and then the sensei, one fine morning, he called the student and said, "Okay, your basic training is done. I will now start to I'll teach you a move." And he taught him a move, a particular set of a sequence of it's called a move. A move meaning it was a sequence of postures and actions. And he said, "You practice this today." So the boy started practicing, and obviously on the first day you're not going to get it right. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to have to come back and rework it and correct your technique and everything. After about a week, he got the hang of the move, and the master sensei did not have to stand and oversee the practice. He just told him, "Now you practice, you do it today, you do 50 of those. 50 times you repeat the move, and you can go." That was sufficient because now the boy had grasped the whole idea. So this went on. So after about a week of doing this, 50 times a day, uh, the boy came up for the next week. The master said, "Yeah, keep doing the same thing." The boy looked at him in a little bit of puzzlement and, okay, he repeated the same move all over again and kept practicing it because he had promised the master he would not question him. So a month passed with nothing else except the same move. So finally, one day, this boy got up enough courage and went to the sensei and said, "Sensei, I've been practicing this move for a month now, but I'm pretty good at it. I'm got it. I know how to do it. When are we going ahead? What is the next step?" And the sensei said, "Nothing, nothing more to do for now. You just keep practicing the same move. You don't have to do anything else for now. Just do as I say." The student was a little disheartened that, there seemed to be no progress. He was just practicing the same move over and over and over again. But he remembered his promise. He went on practicing the same move. Another month passed, and now the boy, when you keep practicing martial arts regularly over a couple of months, your whole posture changes, your demeanor changes, the way you stand changes. He looked totally different from what he was 2 months earlier, and he himself could feel a little bit of change, of greater confidence. And he felt now it's definitely the time to go ahead. I have to advance further. And we went back to the sensei and said, "Okay, sensei, now it's 2 months. Please tell me what is the next step in my progression chart." And you guessed it, the sensei said nothing. You just have to keep doing the same thing. Nothing else. You practice this move. Believe me, I know what I'm doing. Trust me. So the boy continued the same move, practicing the same move over and over again. And 3 months passed, and 4 months passed, 5 months passed, and 6 months passed, and there was no change in the routine. Boy would come, he would do his warm-ups, and the master would say, "Okay, you can start. You know what to do. If you have any difficulty, come to me." But by now, the boy had no difficulty. He could do it with his eyes closed. I mean, he was so thorough with that move that he didn't even have to think. It just flowed uh, through his body. 6 months passed, and then one day the master, when the boy came to the class, he called him aside and said, "I have something to tell you." A boy was immediately all ears. "Oh wow, okay. So the next class, next step is going to come." Uh, and the master said, "You're going to fight in a tournament." And the boy said, "What? Fight in a tournament? But I don't even have an arm. I would not even be considered. I would not even qualify." Uh, The master said, "You leave all that to me, get ready. 2 weeks from now, the tournament starts, and I'm going to give your name in it. You're going to enter the tournament as a student of my school." Again, the boy had to remember whatever the master says, he has to obey. So he said, "Okay." So master he knows what he's doing apparently. So no questions. 2 weeks of practice continued, the same old practice. The tournament begins, and it's like these. How can I put it? Like we have this Grand Slam tennis tournaments. 32 players, contestants start the tournament, and process of elimination. You come down. Uh, it's not as big as a Grand Slam. The procedure: 32 people start. So the next round you have 16, then you have 8, then you have 4, and then you have the final 2. So this guy easily breezed through the round of 32. He didn't even realize how he won it, but first bout was very super simple for him. So he was now in the round of 16. He won that bout also effortlessly. So suddenly he was in the quarterfinal, round of 8. And the first day it was only these 2 rounds. So the next day, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and on the third day it was the final. That was the routine. So quarterfinals also he won. The semi-final also he won. He himself did not realize how he was winning it, but at the end of the day, he was standing as a victor in each of the bouts. So now the final dawned, and his opponent in the final was a champion who was undefeated for 5 years, five-time uh, reigning champion, very seasoned judoka, black belt and all that, a big guy. So this boy was very suddenly very afraid. Though he had covered all the earlier rounds effortlessly, the image of that finalist suddenly was a very fearsome prospect for him, and he went to the sensei the previous day after qualifying for the final, after the finalists were announced. He went to sensei and said, "Now tomorrow I have to fight this guy, and he's been undefeated for 5 years. And look at his size and look at his experience. Do you think I have a chance?" The master said, "Don't worry. You just keep doing what you know." And believe it or not, the next day at the final, this boy emerged victorious. And all the other contestants and the other senseis came crowding around to congratulate this sensei on a unique achievement. A guy boy without a hand winning a tournament. And so the press was there, so the press came to ask the sensei a question. And the sensei called the boy also, because to be part of it, because he deserved the limelight. After all, he was the winner. He had done the fighting. Sensei had only given him the training. So the press reporter asked him, "How did this guy without one hand manage to win this championship?" So the sensei said, "I only taught him one move, one sequence of movements. And he has been practicing that for the past 6 months. So he has become an expert in that. That's all." But the reporters were puzzled. I mean, what do you mean? I mean, you can't win a judo tournament with knowing only one move. So the sensei, obviously, the reporters were not so well versed in the martial arts, so they had not seen what had happened. So the sensei smiled and said, "The move which I had taught him, if the opponent has to counter it, he has to counter it by grabbing the left arm. Here, this guy doesn't have the left arm. So the counter move is thwarted right at the beginning. So the opponent is puzzled. What he has to do normally, he is not able to do. By the time he regains his composure, my boy can flip him, pin him, and win the bout. And none of the other fighters were smart enough to realize this. They didn't even think of a strategy. It happened too fast. That's the secret. So, what had happened here? The lack of an arm was initially the biggest obstacle or the biggest weakness that the boy had in his dream of learning judo. And thanks to his finding a suitable sensei, a suitable master, that master was able to guide him to convert his biggest obstacle or his biggest disadvantage into his greatest advantage. So there's a very big lesson here. Many of us accept defeat in our own minds by saying, I am not good enough for this. I don't have the qualifications for this. I don't have the money for this. I don't have the time for this. I don't have the team for this. I don't have the space for this. I mean, you name it. I'm sure you must be thinking of so many other reasons now as I say these things. How many times have we avoided doing something by giving us ourselves these excuses in our own minds, telling ourselves that we cannot do this because we don't have this? What we need is someone who can just tell us, look here, that may be one part of the story, but there is a way to go around it. What you don't have is so much, but what you do have is so much more. Why don't you focus on what you do have? Which is what we fail to do most of the time. We lament and shed tears over what we don't have rather than appreciate and utilize what we do have. So, my friends, that was the lesson from this story that I wanted to share. Let us make sure that we make use of whatever we have, and whatever we don't have, fine. If we are able to acquire it, well and good. If we have to do without it, we can find a way. There is always a way. It's either we find it ourselves or we should not feel shy of seeking help to find it. That's why most people who are successful always thank their mentors. All successful people have at one time or other been coached by mentors who taught them to think differently, to think out of the box, not be constrained by their own limiting thoughts, not dwell on the negatives, but focus on the positives. Be grateful for what you have, use it to the fullest, and you can achieve any goal in life. So that's it. That's the story for the day. Hope you like the new ambience, the color combination, the background. Uh, and I'm going to be posting this on my YouTube channel also henceforth. So hopefully I'll be able to reach out to more people. So if you like what you saw, please like this video. Please comment on this video. Also comment on any topics which you would like me to cover. I will definitely seek out a story and cover that topic. And please share this video on your timeline. Someone somewhere may find something useful in this. All I'm trying to do is spread whatever little experience I've gained to benefit the maximum people. So until next time, stay home, stay safe, get vaccinated, uh, and most importantly, stay positive and keep smiling. Until next time, see you. Bye.